Hey guys, check it out. You're watching Jonathan Clarke on YouTube. Oh no! I want you to always remember that your heart is your best friend. Undeniably, it will show you the light out of darkness every single time. No matter how many times you felt lost in your lifetime, God knows I have, it will always be your beacon of light and show you the way out of darkness back into that light. Thank you guys so much for the love and support you have shown this YouTube channel on this Friday the 13th, 2025. I can't say I was ever superstitious. I just had fears of having black cats cross my paths in the woods, running into zombie hordes, walking under ladders. What else was something that was superstitious? You know, there was all kinds of stuff that I was always afraid happening to me on Friday the 13th. And then there was that year on Friday the 13th that I got into a fight with a vampire at a Halloween dance. Oh, that wasn't yesterday. That was about 25 years ago. Dude dressed up as a vampire chased me into the school library. Next thing I knew, I was on top of one of the library bookshelves executing a missile dropkick and putting who I thought was a real-life vampire in hospital on the night of the Halloween dance. Any of you know how to execute a missile dropkick? It's actually quite exhilarating. Having said that, I have yet to run into Jason Voorhees today. I've had my autograph book, which consists of autographs of the likes of Frankenstein, Igor, Van Helsing, Cookie Monster, but yet I have never gotten the autograph of Jason Voorhees. They say he comes up out of the lake, he rises out of the abyss every year on Halloween, but for the last at least, 45 years, I have yet to see him. Friday the 13th made its theatrical debut on May 9th, 1980. That was over 45 years ago. Since then, we have seen 10 renditions of Friday the 13th and a reboot. Oh my. How many of you are excited about Zombies 4 Dawn of the Vampires? I am really excited about this, somewhat thrilled. I've always wanted to be a vampire slayer. I haven't slayed vampires since 1998. When I did some work behind the scenes with Buffy the Vampire Slayer. The thing is, I've had this connection with professional wrestlers for forever. So every time a show like Buffy the Vampire Slayer, Boy Meets World, or Baywatch needed a extra professional wrestler as a stunt double or something, they would call me. So I would hire people like Vader, Ric Flair, Hulk Hogan to go in and do the whole Hulkamania Running Wild kind of thing. And I had the opportunity to work with a lot of shows alongside people like Buffy the Vampire Slayer, Boy Meets World. It was a whole lot of fun. Having said that, I would kind of like to get back into it, drive a van, crash it like Zed did when he couldn't get his mind off of football and the upcoming football season, which inspired me to undergo a training regimen for the NFL. I haven't really gotten into that yet. It's a toss-up between playing a marathon of 10 hours of Crash Bandicoot and Spyro the Dragon or training for the NFL. I'll get back to you on all that. But Zombies 4 Dawn of the Vampires looks really cool, especially with these new cast members coming in that we've never seen a part of the franchise before. I think it's really cool that we not only have night walkers as vampires, but we also have day walkers too. So we have really cool groups of villains and villainess coming into this thing. Makes for a real spooky kind of atmosphere. I really appreciate how they shot a lot of scenes in the nighttime. I would love to be blitzed out of my mind shooting these scenes in the nighttime, because there's just this thing that I love about having the opportunity to kick the ass of a vampire, and I think that a lot of you are probably in the same category as me, or finding yourself falling into that. Because there was one point in time in my life, the reason why I wanted to kick the ass of a lot of vampires was because there was a point in time in my life when I was actually terrified of vampires and werewolves and zombies, believe it or not. I don't know if there's a phobia of vampires or werewolves or zombies, but I never did actually look it up. But I do remember being terrified to watch shows like Dracula and Are You Afraid of the Dark when I was a kid. I literally couldn't sleep at night. I was afraid that the Crimson Clown was going to come out from underneath my bed. The Sandman was going to kill me. Vampires were going to suck my blood, come in through my window, do the whole thing in the nighttime where, of course, they had to be invited in. For those of you who don't really know what the backstory of a vampire is, or you think you might know one, don't ever invite one in over your doorstep, because the trick is if you invite them in over your doorstep, a lot of really freaky stuff is going to happen to you, and then less than 24 hours after, they're going to come in through your window and suck your blood, do the whole, back from the dead kind of thing. And I'm also wondering how many of you have actually watched The Walking Dead. I think I tried to watch season 5 of that, and, did the whole, kind of thing, and I couldn't really understand what the whole, kind of thing was, and Yeah, I thought I was going to die watching it. And then I actually went as far as to try to find the original Walking Dead video game on the PlayStation 3 15 years ago and couldn't find it. Here's an idea for Disney Interactive. Why don't you make a Descendants or Zombies-inspired video game or combine the two franchises? Why didn't you do the same thing you did with the Hannah Montana series years ago? Make multiple video games based off of this Worlds Collide tour where the fans of the series, the respective series and franchises, can actually do the dance numbers with the PlayStation Move. You know, why don't you do that? Tremendous revenue can be made off of that. Or why don't you make Zombies or Descendants into a franchise? You know, making it into an animated series years ago was one way of looking at it. They shot that during the pandemic. Thought it was really cool. I, for one, would love to have a green screen set up in my house and do voiceover work and do these effort sounds where you spend 45 minutes going, when you feel yourself in danger. I always had a lot of respect for people who do that for over 45 minutes. Dove Cameron was someone who loved to do that kind of thing. Yeah, but I always wanted to hunt vampires, and I had the opportunity back in the lateral part of the 1990s, and I just want to get back in that kind of thing. And from what I hear, Kylie Cantrell is someone who actually wants to go back in time and live through the 1990s all over again. I would take myself up on the opportunity to do that because I know what it's like to experience the 1990s as a child. It was a whole lot of fun being a kid that grew up in the 1990s. I only wish that some of you could have been born and experienced the 90s for what it was worth. The rise of popular groups like the Backstreet Boys, NSYNC, Britney Spears, Mandy Moore's debut album. I mean, it's a far cry from what we saw back in the 1980s when Kiss was in their prime and Ozzy Osbourne was coming out with Crazy Train. For some reason, I think Crazy Train would have been a cool song to have on the Zombie soundtrack, but of course it's all original music. Yeah. I think Zombies is really cool. The messages in Zombies, of course, are inspiring people to just be yourself. And acceptance. The acceptance is the biggest one. How many of you out there were victims of bullying when you were in high school? I was a victim of bullying every single day of my life. I was the guy that would go to school. He was such a loser. And girls would even tell me I was a loser. I didn't even have a girlfriend in high school. That really sucked. You must be thinking to yourself, hey, Jonathan Clarke, that really sucked. I know, and then half the dudes that I went to school with, I thought were vampires, and that really drew inspiration for me to eventually become a vampire slayer and the first guy to kill a vampire in over 100 years. There was this one dude I went to school with. He was really, really creepy. He had check this out, a headset inside of his jacket every single morning, but no Walkman hooked up to the headset. And I was really creeped out by it. I said, for sure, this dude is a vampire. Now, I never ever did approach the dude and ask him if he was a vampire, but he had the long, dreadlocks and stuff. It was really creepy. So I would kind of, scurry by the locker as quick as I could and get out of Dodge before anything ever did happen to me. And that was kind of really, really creepy. But if you ever do think that there's a guy probably in your life or a girl that's a vampire, you got to take the necessary precautions. Just make sure you got some garlic on hand, some steaks pre-built, coffins built in your basement, and you'll be just fine. For years I thought I lived across the road from a vampire. It wasn't fun. Dude would never come out during the day. The construction company moved in, started hammering and nailing like 24 hours. So I couldn't sleep at all, and I'd be looking out through my window every single night saying, this dude must be building a Romanian castle. And then I did some research online, and then eventually the construction company would move out. Never did see the dudes during the day. And then dudes moved in the nighttime, and it was all, like, this dude for sure is a vampire. And then I found out that he did some work at the hospital. One of them was a cop. So, for sure. So I said, yeah, every single day I'd walk past his house, I'd look down the basement, I'd see all these refrigerators, and I said, perfect way to store blood. And then a couple of months after they moved in, they invited me over for supper one night. I walked into his living room. His couches were completely red. And I said to myself, man, I'm definitely living across the road from a vampire. Plan to go home, get a couple of steaks, build a couple of coffins. And one thing led to another. I have so many stories about vampire hunting, which is why I'm a huge inspiration to the Van Helsing type of character for Zombies 4 Dawn of the Vampires, either or be Addison's new love interest, given that we're going to see a lot of confliction between Addison and Zed, of course, with Nova coming into the mix. Of course, these new cast members are to secure the future of the Zombies franchise, which is something that I really appreciate and can't seem to ever get enough of. This new music that we're hearing really presents a Hannah Montana Camp Rock kind of vibe, so I'm really excited about that. What really got me about the Zombies 4 Dawn of the Vampires Place to Be music video was that so many people immediately started criticizing it for no reason. No apparent reason whatsoever. So I jumped on my podcast, recorded about a 10-minute video after, just literally a 10-minute video after the music video had made its premiere, after everybody was saying it was so terrible. And I had nothing but good things to say about it. Put together a review in all of 5 minutes and got over 1,000 views. I said, yeah! And sure enough, thank you, good night everybody. And everybody just gave me a lot of thumbs up and 1,000 views, never-ending love and support. Thank you guys so much for that. And the fan art that I'm checking out for Zombies 4 Dawn of the Vampires recently is absolutely incredible, which makes me even more excited for Zombies 4 Dawn of the Vampires. I was never one who could compile fan art. I know how to make these authentic thumbnails and stuff. It's really cool when you can Photoshop your favorite characters and put them in a thumbnail. And I don't know. I never expected this YouTube channel to blow up the way that it has. I don't use any AI. I don't use any false promotion. I just upload a video with my thoughts about zombies and Descendants. You guys just love it so much. I don't know who is the dominant franchise or who is the most popular franchise with a rating of 6.2 for Zombies, 6.4 for Descendants. So Descendants is slightly ahead with a 0.2% advantage. So yeah, I always wanted to be the voice of Descendants and Zombies, and you guys have made me the voice of Descendants and Zombies for forever, which is really cool. I hope this franchise never goes. To be honest with each and every one of you guys, there's just something with these two franchises that gets me every single time and has really inspired me to be more vivid in creating videos on YouTube. I've loved creating videos for what feels like forever, so when I moved into this house, the first thing that I thought about was, what could I create that would inspire millions of fans to hit my subscribe button? Because one of the most challenging things as a YouTube creator, no matter how many times you tell people you've read the book Dracula, you've read the book Hamlet, you've read the book Romeo and Juliet, and you've produced these stage productions based off of what you've read, Twilight, what have you, High School Musical. No matter how many times you tell people those same stories over and over and over again, it is somewhat of a challenge, very challenging to get that person to hit the subscribe button. If I've got 1,000 girls subscribed to this YouTube channel, I want to say thank you for your love and support for Descendants. Let's face it, the majority of the fans are girls, and I don't know where I'd be without each and every one of you. I was somewhat of a loser. I fell in love with Descendants and Zombies much like pretty much all of you, and we're pretty much in the same boat. So I guess if that boat is going to sink, we're going to run into an iceberg. We're all going to sink and we're going to die together. So, yeah, unfortunately enough, I live on an island. So if there ever is a zombie breakout, there's only two ways off of it. Either by boat, you can crash and die. Plane, you can crash and die. Car, you can crash and die. So the inevitable is pretty much at hand. Dun, 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 dun. And fortunate enough for yours truly, he lives just 5 minutes out the road from a chemical plant and a soda plantation that are side by side. So if that explodes, I don't know what I'm going to do. But you guys have watched Zombies, the original trilogy, so you know what to do. So you can fill me in on what to do in the comments if you like. Yeah, but I'm pretty versed in vampire slang. As I've told you, I'm the first one to kill a vampire in over 100 years. Don't ever let anybody deceive you about being a real human being. They could be a vampire, they could be a zombie, they could be a werewolf, they could be an alien, who knows? Daywalker, Nightwalker. Just got to look up the symptoms of it. The stories of zombies originated back in the 16th century, which wasn't yesterday. That was over 400 years ago. And it was based off of this disease. And of course, Dracula was inspired by Vlad the Impaler from Transylvania, and a lot of the Romanian tours, if you go on one, if you're fortunate enough to go on one, were inspired by Dracula. You know, I've always had an inspiration to move out of this house and build a castle in Romania. According to Google, which knows everything, the cheapest place to construct a Romanian castle is in actual Romania because of the climate. There are so many factors, so I'm seriously contemplating doing that. You know, I've already achieved worldwide popularity for these Descendants Zombies videos, so why not? Why not do it? You know, I've slayed hundreds of vampires over the last, I don't know, 30 years. You know, you guys don't know how fun that is to actually slay a vampire, especially when they're coming at you from the left, coming at you from the right, and it's all dark, and you can't see anything in front of you or behind you, and it's all, snap mirror, German suplex. You know, it's really fun. And I remember watching the Buffy the Vampire Slayer premiere years ago. Man, I was really freaked out by it. The pilot episode of Buffy the Vampire Slayer ends with this Lord Vampire jumping in to kill Buffy in a coffin, and it's like, to be continued. And I was like, I just wasted 45 minutes of my life so they could say, to be continued? And I never knew then at 10 years old it was like, you know, a way of promotion. So you tune in next week, you know, same bat time, same bat channel. And, you know, it was a whole lot of fun watching it. And then getting the opportunity to work with a lot of the cast members who were extras, who were wrestlers, was so much fun years later. I was very fortunate in my career. I met a lot of people who were involved with TV, because I was involved with the wrestling industry for years. So, you know, that's why I've been always saying Disney's been shafting me for what feels like forever. I would love to be a vampire slayer, you know, be alongside Meg Donnelly trying to save Zed from the clutches of Nova, or Dracula or something, get Dracula's autograph in the woods. You know, I used to spend a lot of time when I was younger berry picking when I was a child. You know, you run off into the woods, and people sometimes forget about how easy it is to get lost in the woods because it's so dark. All you have to do in the woods is take your eye off what you're doing for one split second, and you can't find your way out of it. Many times I would get lost, and there's an ancient story about these lands where I'm from, where if you wander off into the woods and you don't return for 3 or 4 hours, the fairies took you. And yeah, I had that story told about me more times than enough. And I would get lost in the woods, but I was always a Boy Scout, so I knew how to mark trees and different landmarks to find my way out of it. And this one day I got lost in the woods, and for the life of me, I couldn't find my way out of it. But thanks to the power of a cereal box flashlight, I made my way out of it. You know, had a couple of scratches and stuff coming down over the hill, but I was able to find that tree that I had marked, and fortunate enough, I made my way out of the woods. And I had a lot of blueberries too. I used to love to go blueberry picking in the summertime, and I used to pick apples too, crab apples, green apples. I had apple trees just out the road from me. I'm very to the point when it comes to picking land and homes. This house is actually absolutely really beautiful, which is why I wish that they would have shot Descendants, either the original trilogy, especially this new one, in my backyard. And notwithstanding my backyard, but there were also some very, very beautiful scenes that could have been shot in a lot of locations that I know just about an hour away from me. So I would take the Descendants cast, you know, from one location to the next. They would shoot various scenes, probably for about 3 months. And they wouldn't have to live in a trailer, and Ruby Rose Turner wouldn't have to feel threatened about Justin Bieber wanting to take her to Best Buy when he finds out she doesn't have a TV and buy it. That's my greatest fear for Ruby Rose Turner. Falling in love with Justin Bieber, whom she had a huge crush on from a TikTok video I saw about 6 months ago. Lost a lot of sleep over it, and realized that my latest competition was Justin Bieber. I never really did like that guy, although he's been supporting Hailey Bieber a lot for her skincare promotion called Rhodes. I just want to put it out there. I'm really proud of Hailey Bieber more so than I ever was of Justin, because he's been saying that he wants to buy his crushes TVs from Best Buy. He did that for Hailey when he was trying to win her heart, and fortunate enough for him it worked. I don't know if it worked for Ruby, because I don't know what Ruby wants in a man, but yeah, I've always wanted to work with the Descendants cast, work with the Descendants franchise, because I've always believed that each and every one of you deserve a lot better than what you're seeing. And what I mean by a lot better than what you're seeing are these cheap-ass reviews that you will find on YouTube that aren't offering you the comical reprieve, which is comedy, that you deserve, something funny and very engaging that you deserve to watch. One too many people criticize Descendants and immediately jump down the throats of the producers and the writers, and I don't want that for you guys, which is why I hope you find time during your journey through the woods and you come to the fork in the road. One path will lead you down a path of obscurity and uncertainty about Descendants and zombies, and the other path has led you to this YouTube channel tonight, fortunately enough, on Friday the 13th. So you've escaped the clutches of Ichabod Crane on your way to Sleepy Hollow, and the clutches of Jason Voorhees and Freddy Krueger on this Friday the 13th, and you found me. Thank you so much for that. Thank you for your love and support of this YouTube channel. Apparently, when they were shooting Zombies 4 and relocated to New Zealand, there was undersea cave diving that was offered to them. I don't know if I would actually partake in, although, come to think of it, I probably would do that, because I've always wanted to take a bazooka underwater and shoot a killer shark. Yeah! I would love to do undersea cave diving, man. Sign me up! I've always wanted to go down in the depths of the sea, like I'm talking like 40 feet down, and blow the bejesus out of a shark. I would love the opportunity to do that. Drive a submarine or something, man. That would be a whole lot of fun. And I think a lot of you probably would enjoy that too. You know, I remember Finding Nemo. Wasn't there a shark in that franchise? His name was Bruce, and he attended anger management under the sea. And he really wanted to be a better person. Wasn't there a character in Finding Nemo? I was actually at the toy store the other day, Toys R Us, and I saw this Finding Nemo lamp, and I wanted to buy it. I said, shit, man, I got to go back and buy that, because as you can tell, I love collecting stuffies. I love to bring my YouTube channel to life. I have a whole lot of fun doing it. The posters, the gigantic Mickey Mouse, the Squishimals in the background there, the Stitch and the Sonic. I've always had a big heart for this kind of stuff. And one thing that I've always wanted is to inspire somebody to believe that their dreams are possible and they are achievable. Even if it means watching someone as silly as me on YouTube, from my heart to yours, I can't thank you enough. Because believe you me, I have chosen you guys and this YouTube channel over a lot of stuff that I probably should have never chosen you over. But I do it because I know each and every one of you love and support Zombies and Descendants as much as what I have, the Disney franchise as a whole, Nickelodeon as a whole, what have you. More times than enough, I've hung up the headset on this podcast with a broken heart. I recently just lost one of my really good friends. I don't know where she is tonight, but I want her to know that my heart is with her, and I want each and every one of you to know that you are wonderful, wonderful people for supporting me the way that you have. Because you don't know how hurt a person can be before they lose their parents at a young age, they lose who they think is their best friend. It's an incredible loss. And I just want to say to each and every one of you, thank you from the bottom of my heart for just being here, supporting me in these silly videos. And I just hope that each and every one of you love it as much as what I have producing it for you. I know my stories are very different from others' opinions on Descendants of Zombies, but I try to separate these videos from every other commentary you will hear about Descendants of Zombies, because some of them are so boring and sometimes really stupid. And you guys deserve commentaries that are going to make you feel inspired to create your own YouTube, whether it be to create your own YouTube, star in the Zombies franchise yourself as your own version of a character, and God knows who that may be. I've always wanted to be a Van Helsing kind of inspired character. There was actually a point in time when I played the Van Helsing video game on an Xbox that me and my buddy actually pirated. And we actually put a hard drive into the old Xbox, the original Xbox we're talking about, back in like 2001. We literally, it took us the whole night to do it, and we had a whole lot of fun. We put like 500 video games on this Xbox, and it was one of them was Van Helsing, and I remember playing it. It was so fun. And I'm still campaigning for us to get a Descendants or Zombies inspired video game, like for the Move and the PlayStation Move and stuff, what have you. Guys, honestly, from the bottom of my heart, thank you so much for being here. My only regret is that Ruby is not here to bake Descendants-inspired pies or help me put together game cheers. I am going to miss Ruby Rose Turner and the Descendants franchise, probably more than anybody out there. More than probably anybody will ever admit over their podcast microphone on their YouTube channel. I say this because I don't know how you can do Descendants 5 Wicked Wonderland without Ruby. You can do it with Pink, Keanu Romero, yes. But you can't do it without Ruby, because that character, although her time in the Descendants franchise was very short-lived, for the life of me, I don't know how you can do it. It's like the same thing could be said about the Halloween franchise. How are you supposed to do it without Michael Myers? How are you supposed to do Friday the 13th without Jason Voorhees? You know, Saw without Jigsaw? You can't. It's impossible. You know, I don't know how they're going to do it. I'm going to miss her. That's why I've been watching a lot of Ruby Rose Turner retro music videos like Mirror, Ruby Rock over the past couple of days. Life is Sweeter When You Are, which is a song that I can never get out of my head. Beautiful, beautiful song. And obviously you guys can't get these Descendants videos out of your head either, because you've somehow made me the voice of Descendants and Zombies, which I can't thank you enough for having done. I honestly don't know where I would be without each and every one of you. I've had the time of my life producing these podcasts, and I have been on a lot of podcasts, either as the co-host, the host. I believe this is my second podcast in 25 years after being the co-host of so many shows that I refuse to remember and recall, so many that I can't remember all of them. But yeah, no matter what I'm going through in my life, you guys have always been there. You've always been my beacon of light, and you've never failed to show me an endless amount of support. At the end of the day, you guys are all I got. Thank you so much for that, and thank you for making this YouTube channel one of the best ever. And as far as I'm concerned, I have the best fans in the world on the greatest Descendants of Zombies themed YouTube channel that you will find on YouTube on this very dusky, dark Friday the 13th, which I hope nothing bad has happened to you on. Hopefully you're staying safe and you are loved wherever you are tonight. Thank you so much from one heart to another. So what do you say we watch this interview of the Zombies stars? I believe Meg Donnelly is featured in this interview. What do you say we watch this one together? I think this is probably one of the first times I've actually had the opportunity to show this interview to you on my YouTube channel. So if you get a moment, please hit my subscribe button.
There's all these like new kids in the cast, so the movie's kind of like the older kids passing a torch to the new ones, and I'm sure there will be more movies to come with the new cast, so I'm so excited for them.
So, just to let you guys in on a little secret, when you aspire to become a full-time YouTube creator, YouTube, depending on the sponsor that you come across, will send you a free fridge that you can put in your YouTube studio. And you have stuff like apples and different things in them. And although I've often wondered if apples are actually magic, like Disney has inspired us to believe, and poisonous, I haven't tried this apple yet, but that's what YouTube will do if you come across the right sponsor. But I have not got monetized yet, so I've got a long way to go. I'm working on watch hours now. That was a beautiful interview, guys. Thank you so much for joining me for all these videos, and thank you so much for your love and support of this YouTube channel, because I honestly don't know where I would be without each and every one of you. The memories that I carry with me inside of my heart from this YouTube channel, after telling you here earlier on this show that your heart is so precious and it will always show you the way out of darkness into light, I stand to that, because your heart is your best friend. And thankfully enough, your hearts have led you to this YouTube channel and led you to me, and I am just as big of a Descendants of Zombies fan as each and every one of you, and I can't thank you enough. From one heart to another, I don't know where I'd be, because I've lost so much in my own life, and I have all of you at the end of the day to thank, and for your love and support. Thank you so much for that. This YouTube channel will always be here for you, the subscriber, the fan of Descendants and Zombies. Thank you so much for making me the voice of Descendants and Zombies for the last 10 years, the better part of it. This has been the time of my life. Out of every show I've had the privilege of hosting for professional sports, professional wrestling, entertainment, this is the most fun that I've had in my entire life. Thank you guys so much for never quitting on me when you very easily could have. And what do you say we go spread some kindness, take the opportunity to do that right now. With that being said, happy Friday the 13th to each and every one of you. We will do it again really soon. Bye, YouTube. So long for now.